to order. We are a little behind schedule. And we do have some bills to consider. And I believe we have Councilmember Welsh on speakerphone. Yes, we do. Okay, so we are almost all here. All right, let's hopefully quickly work our way through our legislation. Then we have Christine Lalonde from Social Services to give us an update on rehousing people displaced by the tornado and possibly also by coronavirus. So we appreciate you being here, and we'll get to you shortly.
Hannah's the one who's doing the tornado.
Hannah will talk tornado. Okay, great. So committee members, we will begin with RS 2020-238, sponsors Mendez, and he just happens to be in the room. But I have a letter to approve as well. Do I have a motion? Councilmember Hauser, hold on. I got to get Microphones cannot be managed. Priority button is pressed. Let me take that off.
Do we have copy? Usually when we meet in our committee room, we have copies of we're being asked to approve. Are there copies anywhere?
Okay. Typically, we have relied on your bringing your own agenda, which has the description there. If you need to grab an agenda from the front, I can wait. I mean, the council agenda in general is, do you have copies of the? No, this is the first time we've had more than one bill, so I apologize. We can make sure that we have those available. Are you set? Right, so if you just work your way through and look for ones that say referred to Affordable Housing Committee, those will be the ones that we're looking at. So, and we're currently looking at RS 2020-238. We have a letter to approve, and the sponsor is here in the room as well. There is a proposed amendment. This authorizes Metro Development and Housing Agency to negotiate and enter into a pilot agreement and accept payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to a multifamily housing project located at 0 Murfreesboro Pike, known as Hobson. Would the sponsor be interested in talking about the amendment? Because I don't see Ms. Davis in the room at the moment. Okay. Councilmember Mendez.
Can you remind me of the bill and the amendment?
This is RS 2020-238. It says you are the sponsor, and it's MDHA negotiate into a pilot at Hobson.
Oh, this is, Mr. Wilshire would be awesome at describing this.
Okay, we'll bring up Mr. Wiltshire, and now we have Ms. Davis back as well. Mr. Wiltshire, you're recognized. Okay, we are asking about the amendment on RS 2020-238, which is the Hobson pilot.
Yes, so the amendment is just a housekeeping amendment.
Okay.
And would you like information about the project overall, or?
After the amendment, we'll get to the project overall if you would like to. Okay, is there a second on the amendment? Great, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor? Any opposed? Amendment is passed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Okay, now, Mr. Wiltshire, if you can tell us very briefly about the bill as amended.
Absolutely. This is a pilot under the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Pilot Program that this body adopted some years ago. This particular project is for a 324-unit affordable housing project at the intersection of Hobson Pike and Murfreesboro Road. It's in Councilwoman Stiles' district. It is a partnership between Woodbine and Elmington, and received a 4% low-income housing tax credit as a part of the capital stack. The project is a mixture of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and 4-bedroom units, which is somewhat unusual. And in particular, the 3- and 4-bedroom units are ones that we don't have enough of, serve families, obviously, and don't have enough of in the low-income housing tax credit segment. But the project overall is a $74 million project, and the value of the abatement is estimated to be a little over $560,000. So the property taxes collected on the parcel will actually go up from what's collected, but it's actually a fairly significant abatement. That abatement is quite honestly necessary to make the math pencil for the project to move forward.
Thank you. And that's because they have to pay taxes on the value of the low-income housing tax credit, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And the overall structure and composition of the deal.
Great, thank you. And that abatement is for 10 years?
10 years.
Abatement for 10 years.
The affordability period is actually for 15 years, but it's under state law, but they've agreed to extend it for another 15 years. So this site will actually be affordable for 30 years.
30, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great. Any other questions on this bill? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Next is RS 2020-239, sponsors Mendez, Sledge, and others. This declares surplus and authorizes the conveyance of real property to certain nonprofit organizations and authorizing grants not exceeding $5 million from the Barnes Fund for affordable housing to certain nonprofit organizations selected for the express purpose of constructing and rehabilitating affordable or workforce housing. Do I have a motion? Second? Okay, great. Any discussion? Seeing none, could I get Ms. Davis to just very briefly tell us where this is in the process?
I would love to. I'm always happy to talk about Barnes. So just so everyone is familiar with how the process worked, in October we opened an application for $9.5 million. On December 5th, the Housing Trust Fund Commission was notified that there would only be $5 million available, and so they voted to approve these awards. The commission had received over $20 million in fundable applications. There were 21 total applications, and the application prioritizes transit accessibility, design, disability accessibility, larger bedrooms, and other features that fill out our affordable housing stock with some of the product that's missing for families that really need it. And so thank you so much for reviewing this. Once this contract is approved, many of these grantees are ready to start work on these projects on Wednesday. So as an aside, they're extremely anxious to begin work on this so that they can clear their internal capacity and be able to tackle some of the tornado relief rebuilding that will need to be done. So in the end, there was $5 million that's been awarded for the production and preservation of 549 units, and that will be in at least 9 counties. One of our grantees, Westminster Home Connection, does rebuilding work, and so they begin taking applications for the homeowners once they have the money, and so that will be in various counties based on the need.
Counties or districts?
Council district.
Council districts, okay, good.
Yeah, probably started to lose me. All the work is in Davidson County.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Resolution is recommended. Thank you for that explanation. Next is RS 2020-240, sponsor is Allen. This extends the Housing Incentive Pilot Program in accordance with Section 2-213-100 of the Metro Code. Do I have a motion? And a second? It's been moved and seconded. This is, I see some members in the queue. This is a further extension. We voted in January to extend it for 3 months while we looked at data, and based on the discussion that we had at the last meeting, we are now offering to extend it through close to the end of this term so that we can reevaluate at that point. Let's see, Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Chair. I wonder if we could just, for the body, why was this a pilot initially? If we could talk about that and sort of what were the goals and what was it hoping to achieve, and maybe has it achieved some of those goals? I don't know if.
Yes, I will ask.
Thank you.
Ms. Davis to address that, and I'll pitch in if I want to add anything.
Really. Yes, Council Lady Allen was here for that historical perspective. I know that it was intended to produce more mixed income housing. It was considered when inclusionary zoning was also en route in front of the council. And so I think the challenge that it has faced is that it requires an annual appropriation of operating funds to continue. So there are landlords who have signed up but don't really know about the stability of the program long term, and obviously that then impacts their tenants' ability to make a decision. If you're going to move in and put your children in school, you want to be able to be sure that that can be a long-term opportunity for your family. I do know for the 19 people that are taking advantage of it currently, it is extremely impactful and creates mixed income opportunity where there would definitely be none otherwise.
So with 19 people utilizing the program, like how much more could it grow from that? Like how much more is there for people to utilize?
So it varies, but it would be probably around 8 people with the current budget. The allotment is determined based on 30% of the tenant's income, and since those incomes are variable, the subsidy from the government is variable. But based on my calculations of the current utilization per tenant, I've estimated about 8 other people could take advantage of it based on the FY 21-20, whatever fiscal year we're in currently, budget year.
Great. And for the 19, is it households or people?
Households.
The 19 households that are utilizing it, so how much is that, all the subsidy add up to for those 19 households each year?
We went over this at committee, and I think it's about, we had $300,000 in the budget. There's a administration fee. Freeman Webb does all of the income verification. So I believe we're at about 241 of the 300 that's currently utilized. Now, as a point of clarification, there's basically a cap that we award each property manager. And so that's the 241. Not all of them have used that cap. And so that's the space where the additional 8 individuals could.
Okay, excellent. And when this was, were any of the units that are under this program constructed, developed in, like, with this incentive as a part of their financing, or how they were utilized, or were these existing units that were where the property managers and landlords entered the program?
I can't speak to that because I wasn't here.
So I believe all 3 of them are new construction, and during the process, the council member for the district, which includes me, said to the developer, there's this program that we've created and we would love for you to use it. As we discussed in the last council meeting, we're not, we don't know that this is the ultimate tool, but it is a good interim tool while we figure out some other ones that are more scalable, and that we see benefit in perpetuating it for another 3 years while we put some, I think, other more widely usable programs into place. But it has served, number one, it has served those 19 people well, and number 2, it has served to prove the concept of mixed income to a group of landlords that otherwise might not necessarily be going out of their way to experiment with that. So those are some of the reasons we talked about at the last council meeting about being comfortable with moving this forward with the cap. Other questions?
No, thank you all both very much.
Okay, Councilmember Mendez.
Thanks, and I'm sorry I've been missing the Affordable Housing Committee meetings, so hopefully I don't repeat stuff. I really had questions along the lines that Councilman Parker did. I think, well, I've never loved this program. I felt like it was sort of a weak alternative to inclusionary zoning, meant to defeat inclusionary zoning, as we had prepared it. And so my question was really around the length of time that it's being extended. And if this has been discussed before, is there a reason why it's this amount of time instead of a shorter amount of time, since it, the way you were just describing it, it's not super effective. It's an interim thing. So has there been discussion about why this amount of time?
Yes, and if Councilmember Sledge wants to join in this discussion, it was his idea as he rushes back to his. We had, again, talked about keeping this in place as we worked on other tools and throughout the discussion of what length would be appropriate. And Councilmember Sledge, if I oriented you enough to.
I think we're good.
Okay.
So the reason we had chosen the time frame that we did is to kind of say allowing a term, essentially, for people to work through what the pilot program could be. And in fact, in conversations, not that we're all calling each other to talk on this, but when Matt and I talked about this a while back, one of the issues with HIP was that most people didn't know about it. Just plain and simple, had no idea what that the program existed, much less what it was. And so there were discussions that had already begun about how can we do a better job on outreach, how can we do a better job on explaining what it is and what the opportunities are for participation, because there is some legwork to be done. In the discussion we had, I think in the previous committee, I get reports from people who are either in these buildings or working in these buildings, meaning condo, multifamily, where the vacancies are there and they're just not being reported. because a building gets to a certain point and they don't want people to know that they're at a certain vacancy rate because then it is a tipping point, and they're not able to market the units as well as they could. If they know that there's another option that creates affordability for units that are already built, that I think is an opportunity we're trying. And my argument is, I don't think we've, quite frankly, tried hard enough to get the word out. And if we did, I'd like to at least just give us a chance to see if this could be successful, because we are not going to be able to, at our current rate, going to be able to build our way out of this housing shortage.
Certainly need to. And I would add that from what I've understood, that they are currently being marketed to limited groups of people like teachers or folks that fit into those income categories that they're meant for.
I'm not
Councilmember
going
Mendez.
to die on this hill, but I think the market doesn't really like this program. Otherwise, they'd use it. But I don't feel, again, I'm not going to die on this hill.
I appreciate that. Thank you for your comments. Other comments? Seeing none, we are ready to vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? So I'll make that 7-2. Thank you. And I would invite council members who are supportive to sign on, if you are so inclined. Next is RS 2020-241, sponsors Sledge and Welsh and Allen. This amends Amendment 1 to a grant contract for constructing affordable housing approved by RS 2019-1861 between the Metro Housing Trust Fund Commission and Affordable Housing Resources. Been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Suara, were you in the queue for the last one? And I apologize for not recognizing you. Okay, are you in the queue for this one? Okay, I'll recognize you now with apologies.
No problem. Thank you, Chair. This is just for clarification for me. I see that the description says affordable housing resources. When I look at my analysis, I see affordable housing solutions Inc. So is it just making sure which one is which?
Let's see. Councilmember,
Is it resources or is it solutions?
I'll let Ms. Davis answer that one.
The only one I know of in this grant amendment is pertaining to affordable housing resources.
Thank you. Will we need to have an amendment if that, well, that's in the analysis, it's not in the caption of the bill. Okay, so it's correct in the caption. Other questions? Seeing none, we are ready to vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Bill is recommended. Resolution is recommended. And finally, we have RS 2020-242, sponsors Mendez and Welsh. This approves amendments to 7 grant contracts for constructing affordable housing approved by RS 2018-1088 between the Metro Housing Trust Fund Commission and certain nonprofit organizations. Do I have a motion? Second? Okay, and we have a letter from the sponsor to approve. Ms. Davis, can you give us a quick description of
Hoping
that
that
one?
would happen.
Okay, good.
Yes, I think it's helpful to understand the nuances of these Barnes contracts. So anytime a grantee requests a contract, they come to the Housing Trust Fund Commission, of which Councilman Sledge is a member, and describe the challenges that they faced and the reason for the contract extension. As many of you know, metro departments are quite backlogged, and so when you affordable housing developer undertakes this a project of this magnitude, it can take some time. The primary reasons for the contract extensions, which range from 2 months to 12 months, is that we grant out back tax lots, and those require a lot of title cleanup, which costs the grantees between $5,000 and $10,000 and 8 and 12 months. It's a lot of legal work to go back through and clean up that title so that the new homeowner has a clean title to move forward with. So those are properties that were previously on metro rolls that we were paying to maintain, and now they'll be coming on to the tax rolls. The second most prominent time length for an extension is Crossroads Campus, and they have undertaken a pretty sizable project to provide stable housing for youth aging out of foster care. And this is a product that really there's a deep shortage of throughout our county. And so the Barnes Fund was one of the first funders on that project. They have then used the Barnes Fund to leverage additional capital campaigns and loans, and so that project is moving forward. But on that one, Barnes was some of that first money in, though we usually tend to be more in the middle timeline of the funding because that project was so essential to our social services landscape. The commission chose to be one of the initial funders.
Thank you. Other questions, Councilmember Sledge?
I'm not going to say any better, so I'm
Okay.
good.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? Seeing no one else in the queue, all those in favor? Any opposed? Resolution is recommended. That completes our docket, and now, simply because I know that many of us are getting questions from people about how the city might be able to help with rehousing people after the tornado and possibly also dealing with coronavirus, I have asked some resources from Metro Social Services and the mayor's office to tell us everything they know. So who wants to start? Okay, so Hannah Davis from the mayor's office. Thank you, Hannah.
Yes, and just for your reference, Christine and I have been working closely together. She primarily works with the unhoused population, but obviously due to the tornado, the lines between housed and unhoused have become much more blurred. So we've been staying in close contact so that we're aware of the services that can be offered. I mentioned this a little bit in the Budget and Finance Committee, but just so everyone knows, Red Cross through an MOU with the city is our primary case manager. So when a property like Meridian is destroyed, Red Cross comes in and works to rehouse individuals and families. Now, some of these cases will take longer, and we have a secondary partner, UMCOR, who will come and do any longer-term case management. We've been working, obviously, with the grantee community, so we met together and are working to understand the scope of the problem, really what we're looking at, and right now it's challenging because some people are staying with family and friends. We're not really seeing the extent of the issue, but obviously that puts someone in a tenuous position, especially with COVID-19 coming and requiring people to have space. So we have been lucky to have some property managers be aggressive about helping to support this. Freeman Webb was one of the first that stepped up and said that they would waive all fees, and they've been working to rehouse people day of. So that's been wonderful from a stock perspective. And then obviously we are looking at long-term what our developers and nonprofits need from us from a financing side to be able to create more stock and preserve the stock that was damaged. One of the most pressing and sort of unique concerns is especially in North Nashville, where you have affordable single-family homes that were severely damaged. We've been lucky to have nonprofits in the neighborhood like the Equity Alliance and Gideon's Army do some great education for homeowners to understand their rights and the supports that are available to them and the timeline of when those supports will come into play. And so knowing that FEMA can take 6 to 12 months for replacement funds, not always, sometimes sooner, but we're looking at what is the gap in funding and how can we support it. So we don't want people to feel pressured to sell, and even if they do choose to sell, we want them to have a conversation with affordable housing developer and talk about, a lot of our developers say that they can afford to pay market rate. They usually just don't even get a chance to get in and have those conversations because they might not be as comfortable with some of the aggressive behaviors. And so working with trusted partners to create a safe environment for homeowners to talk about not just the sale of their home, but what would be the long-term strategy for their own rehousing and what that means for the impact on their family and the community. So really focused on preserving that affordable stock, ideally with the homeowner, but either way, working with our community land trust and our developers to be able to maintain it in perpetuity.
Great, thank you. And go ahead, yeah. And then we'll do jointly questions. I like the.
Okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I put my Kleenex on here. So I know everybody in the room, but I'm Christine Lalonde. I'm in a position that's actually shared by the mayor's office, social services, and MDHA, particularly focused on homelessness. So I wanted to talk a little bit about response to COVID-19 in this moment. the mayor has asked, and we have convened a working group of providers and metro agencies to help with really the most vulnerable population we have in Nashville, and the special needs that we'll have moving forward in light of this crisis with the virus and its expansion. I want to also say very clearly that, we've got people on the front lines in our organizations and sheltering organizations and outreach organizations that are doing what they can in response to this. And so we've been having conversations for weeks, but now those conversations are much more structured around this working group. And again, it includes frontline organizations and metro agencies. We're having a online video conference call every day at this point as the situation in the ground changes. I think probably most of you at least heard or maybe watched the press conference today with the mayor and the health department and Dr. Jahangir, that we're opening assessment centers, of probably about 6 centers by the end of this week to supplement our existing healthcare providers. And we think that's a really great opportunity for those of us in the community who are unhoused to have greater access to assessment and then, if warranted, testing. We're looking at a variety of issues that are particular to this community. When we talk about having to isolate folks or wanting them to isolate if they've been exposed or if they test positive, obviously there's special challenges with that if the person is not housed. So we are actively working on those policies and a variety of other policies in conjunction, of course, with the health department. I'm happy to take questions. I will say, though, that a lot of the answers to these questions will probably be, we are working on a policy to respond. So I want to just say that from the outset.
Get ready for that answer. And before I take questions, I want to acknowledge Caitlin Deskew, did I say that last name right? From Rebuilding Together Nashville, and also Judy Tackett, who we know from the Homeless Impact Division.
Indeed, thank you for doing that.
Right, and Matt Wiltshire from MDHA. So we have a wealth of knowledge in this room. So with that, are there any questions from the body just about how we're dealing with this? Councilmember Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. One of the questions I do have is, does the administration or does the city have a plan for individuals experiencing homelessness that have symptoms of COVID-19? Do we have a plan for those individuals that will be going to those shelters and may be asked to leave due to the spread of the virus?
So I can say that would just be one of the things we're anticipating, and we are formulating a policy on those various issues, a policy that I think has to be nimble in response to this, but we are, working with those sheltering partners, our outreach workers, the health department, looking to, the CDC and HUD and other places for best practices in this moment. Obviously, it's an unprecedented kind of situation in so many levels that we're just, I think we will have a clearer protocol and set of policies by the end of this week.
Because these individuals cannot quarantine themselves at their homes because, unfortunately, they don't have them. That's why we are using these shelters in place, such as Nashville Rescue Mission and Room in the Inn and others. Of course, we know that Room in the Inn has suspended their church partnerships due to coronavirus. Therefore, there are going to be several unhoused individuals that are in Nashville that may be likely come in contact or are infected with coronavirus. And I would ask for the city to move swiftly to make sure we have a space for these individuals to have a quarantine, other than the shelters, the private organizations that are here that shelter these individuals. I think that we have a duty as a city and elected officials, myself, to make sure that we are taking care of those, even those that are underserved populations, to make sure that we have some space for them to go, because I know that at some point these organizations are going to start checking for symptoms. If these individuals have symptoms, they may not have a place to stay. So we want to move swiftly, and unfortunately, individuals experiencing homelessness sometimes may be more vulnerable than others with this case.
Thank you.
That's an important question. Councilmember Mendez?
Good afternoon.
Hey.
I guess evening now.
Evening.
So putting on the Budget and Finance Committee hat, one thing that's on my mind too is how do we go about figuring out how much money we should be setting aside for all these efforts? And I'm sure if it's like everything else right now, it's beginning of a work in progress. But what is the process for trying to figure that out? And if anybody knows a timeline for trying to figure out what we might need to be setting aside?
So that's a really tough question, and I'm really not trying to punt on this. I just don't want to give any indication of something that we're not ready to announce. I would say, I mean, there are going to be budgetary impacts on this. When you think about something that if we need to have some sort of alternative setting for quarantine or for isolating, it would be an appropriate response, I think, for the city to be picking up the tab for that. The existing community-based sheltering system cannot expand to that extent or to offer something like individualized rooms. We are looking at all those things. Another thing is that, the libraries have closed as of today, and as many of us know, one of the places that that folks go during the day who are unhoused is our libraries, and not just to enjoy the quiet and the peace and the program offerings and the computers, but also because it's one of the rare places where people can access a public bathroom and a place to wash your hands. This is really crucial in this moment, and that is another thing that we are actively working to figure out this week. And again, I think in all likelihood it will have budgetary impact. I wish I could already come to you with a number on those things, but I think you can anticipate that we will be back and asking for that support in the days ahead.
Thank you. And I'll just reiterate what I know others have said. I just heard Councilmember Taylor say it, is in this time of crisis, having a pretty good plan fast is a lot better than taking the time for a perfect one. So I know we all appreciate y'all moving as fast as you are, and certainly the city needs to do what it needs to do, and hopefully we'll figure out the cost at some point.
Right. Thank you.
Other questions?
And I'm happy, of course, to be in contact with any of you in the days ahead. Where it is a moving target, but you're right. We're not trying to make a perfect policy. We're trying to respond as quickly and as effectively as we can to the situation on the ground with the resources that we have and the resources that we're going to ask for.
Thank you. And I would say anyone who sees something working well or learns of something in another city that seems to be working well, this is the group to hand it to. So with that, seeing no one else in the queue, we're adjourned. I'm sure we can stick around and keep our distance if we have other questions. Thank you all for coming.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.org.